Recorded live from the heart of the Bakken, it's the Williston Works Podcast.
Welcome to the Williston Works Podcast, brought to you by the City of Williston, North Dakota. Williston Works brings you in-depth discussions with the entrepreneurs, small business owners, and investors who are getting it done in Western North Dakota. I'm your host, Sean Wenko, Executive Director of the Williston Economic Development Office. And today I have my guest, Angela Skogen, is here. And I'm pretty excited because we're getting into Season 2 with these podcasts. And I couldn't think of a better place than Cooks on Main and to talk to you a little bit about what you did. So, Angela, great to have you on the show today.
Well, thank you so much for the invite. I'm super excited. We listened to the podcast last year, and it's always fun to hear from people on the ground.
Yeah. So let's get right into it. Tell us a little bit about Cooks on Main. What is it? What does it offer? And then from there, we'll talk a little bit about, why you wanted to start it. But let's tell people about your business.
Absolutely. So Cooks on Main is the culinary cornerstone for the everyday chef. We opened in October of 2010, so we're just coming upon our 9th anniversary. But we offer mid to high-end specialty items for your kitchen, from cookware, barware, glassware, entertaining, specialty food, oil and vinegar. So everything that you would need to be successful in your home kitchen, Cooks on Main offers. And with our expansion that we did in October 2017, we added a full culinary center too. So we have a chef on staff. We add specialty classes, we do private events, we do birthdays, holiday parties, and of course catering all out of our store as well.
You say you're going into your 9th year, your 9th year of operation. And I remember when you came into the office, because I was assistant director at the time, but you came into the office, you were born and raised here, you come from Williston, your family was very successful, they had a successful business here for many years, but you decided to come back, and you were in Minneapolis at the time, correct?
I was, yep, I was working for Target's corporate office in downtown Minneapolis at that point.
Okay, so you think about this, you're in the corporate office as a Target, okay, what pushed you to say, you know what, I'm going to come back to Williston, North Dakota, and I'm going to open up Cooks on Main? I mean, because, I'm thinking about this going, well, that's a pretty good job going on in Minneapolis. So, you just say, I'm coming back home and I'm going to do this. So what was the motivation on that?
I think it was a combination of things, and it was scary. I was working at Target. I'd been there for 9 years, on the verge of being a senior buyer, very successful, tons of benefits, flexibility, loved my staff. But what was happening in Western North Dakota was really enticing. My family was here. My sister was in Minot. She was having kids, and I was missing out on that. I actually came home one Memorial Day weekend, and this great little building on the corner was for sale. And I was just like, what if? And I put an offer on this building without telling anybody. I didn't tell my parents or anything. And I put an offer in on the building, and about 60 days later, they accepted it. And I was like, oh, I just bought a building back home. And, I always thought about owning a store kind of as my second career. Maybe when I was in my 50s or 60s as a retirement opportunity, because I just love being in the public and talking to people. And this opportunity came just as the oil influx and kind of that impact into Western North Dakota was happening. And it just gave me a lot of flexibility, a lot of hope, a lot of excitement that I could come back to my hometown, my roots, where my family were, and provide a great experience and something that we didn't have at the time in store in town at all with Specialty Kitchen.
That was what was unique at the time, is you're seeing these things were coming back. When you came back, and your idea for this store was just a great just unique to the area. But what are some of the things that you encountered as far as being a developer, being an investor coming back, or an entrepreneur coming back into the community? What did you run into, some of the things that you saw, trying to get Cooks on Main off the ground?
I was actually really surprised how much support is in Western North Dakota for small businesses at that time. This was 18 months after the collapse of the housing industry across the nation. So, I was really nervous to see what banks would really do. And as a small entrepreneur who had never opened a business before, really had a great idea, but didn't have a lot of experience in starting a business, I was so surprised how many resources Williston has to offer, from Keith Olson and the Small Business Association, your office, the banks, other businesses that were currently already operating, willing to help you out and support you and give you ideas. it was amazing the amount of support there was. Hurdles, of course, coming back and really trying to pinpoint how much cash was really needed to start this business was hard. You're really putting a line in the sand to say, I'm going to spend X amount. And I think as a young entrepreneur, we just knew that you can't open the store you want. You have to open the store you can afford and build to the store you want. I mean, I look back to my grand opening weekend, and I thought I had so much inventory. I was so excited, and now I look at it and I was like, oh my gosh, we had nothing. So you have to kind of really build into the business and the brands and the inventory that you want over time. It just doesn't happen overnight. Most people can't open the store they envision fully. It's just too expensive. You have to build some capital and put some time and work into it first.
So you get Cooks on Main started. Yeah. It's successful. You're rocking and rolling. And then all of a sudden you're going, I'm going to expand.
I know. Okay. It's just, as a good entrepreneur and people listening out there, as a business owner, you just can't stop. My husband, I would hope that I just stop at this point. But, you're always looking for the next thing. You're always looking how you can delight and really surprise your loyal customers. And we call them our guests and family. What's next? And, we've always talked about, my husband and I, John, always talked about, like, what's next? How do we add more product? How do we add more unique experience? How do we add this culinary center? We had a wonderful resource with a chef that we knew in town that was doing some classes for us on the side, and we really wanted her part of the team. And the building next door was vacant, and then it was purchased. And, we just really partnered with them and said, hey, we really want this space. How do we come up with an option to buy the building? And the previous owner was just great to work with and let the building go and allowed us to really expand and have a fun vision of what, specialty kitchen could look like in Western North Dakota. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, and I tell people, you have to stop in there and take a look at it, because when we walked through there when you were under construction, just the vision you had for that building, because it was old. The building was old, and it was kind of falling apart, but you really cleaned it up quite a bit.
Yeah, and I think, for me, purchasing a building was the way to go. It's a little bit easier than renting. The downside is it's a lot more expensive, and you have to really know your numbers for the bank to support that, because both of my buildings, the original location and the next one, were both turn of the century. I mean, we're talking 1907, 1911. There's going to be some surprises in work, plumbing, electrical, flooring, just structural things that have to be reviewed that take a challenge. And, our first building we put on the National Historic Building. We're one of 6 in town. And that adds a whole host of challenges and excitements of really following the parameters and making sure it stays historic and that it's in the sense of what it was originally built as in 1907.
Is there one thing when you got into redeveloping an old building like that, is there one thing you wish you had known before you got into it? I
think it's just now that I've purchased and kind of remodeled 2 buildings, is you have to know it's going to be more expensive than you think. And you have to be okay with it. I mean, It's uncomfortable. You're putting your whole life and your current business and probably some of your personal finances on the line. But I think a strong business owner says, yes, but I will always figure it out. Things will pop up and things will change and dynamics in the city will change and the oil price will go up and down. But a really strong small business owner just says, so what? We'll figure it out. We'll weave. We'll dodge it. We'll change our strategy. We'll react. And with old buildings, it has to be the same way. There's going to be something that pops up in that remodel that you have no idea it's going to happen. And you just have to say, okay, it's going to cost me X, but we're going to figure it out and we'll make it work.
Well, one final question as a small business owner, what is one message you would like to get out to potential small business developers or entrepreneurs that are out there?
I think it's one thing to learn from your neighbors and support each other, but I really recommend, and I sit on some national boards for this, is you really need to work within your industry, find a niche, and network with people outside of town. So if it's, if you're a quilting store, there's quilting teams out there, there's committees on there, there's conferences, is really find your community to support, to lean upon, to get ideas from, to learn from. There's people that have been in your industry far many more years than you have, and there's always something to learn. And so I really heavily weigh upon those industries and those friends and that network to continue to push me to be better and come up with new, exciting ideas I can bring back to my community.
Angela, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I tell you, I cannot wait because I know you're not going to stop where you're at now. There's going to be bigger ideas down in the horizon.
Give me another couple of years.
We're going to see more from Angela Skogen in Cooksaw, Maine. Thanks a lot for listening to the Williston Works podcast. This is brought to you by the City of Williston. Remember, if you're a developer, business owner, entrepreneur, or site selector, and you want to learn more about the opportunities in Williston, give us a call and we'll help you make it happen. Like and subscribe for more podcasts, and to learn more about Williston, visit willistondevelopment.com. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.